Hello, hello everyone. Am I live? Wow, that was really challenging to try and get on here. So if you that literally took me the last half hour trying to connect. So I was all connected, ready to go, created the stream for today, and suddenly there was nothing happening. And in this week, we have upgraded our Wi-Fi. We have upgraded my camera. I've got a new camera. Let me know how it's working. Hopefully it's not too HD, this camera, but it's going to be freezing. And I get these little messages from YouTube saying that there is a struggle with my connection. So and our connection has been flying beautifully for the whole week since we did the upgrade. So I'm going to forge ahead and carry on with Self-Love Friday in the hopes that somehow this gets out there and any of you that might be waiting or here with me, here's JJ UK, yay, thank you. A little picture jump to Self-Love Friday. So as you know, last week I spoke about, posted about different ways to connect with your physical life. So I started with 4 ways in which you can really get to listen to your body and connect with your body. First one being feel your meal, which we chatted about last week, and this week it's quite a subject and quite a theme. It's become so popular. Exercise is just something that everyone talks about. What sport do you do? What exercise do you do? Do you run? Do you jog? Do you cycle? Absolutely loved aerobics because I love high energy levels. Other than when I go down properly and then I rest properly. Absolutely loved it. I was loud music and doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things with my body. That was great. Then when I left school, I seemed to have gone into more of a quiet space. That sense of not really knowing what I wanted to do with my life, not sure what I really enjoyed. I wasn't in cities. I moved from Johannesburg to Durban. Didn't really know what I felt like doing. But nothing. I was processing a lot, and I didn't really think that it might help me to process all my life change by getting into some kind of physical sport or fitness practice. So for many years, I did nothing. And most of my 20s, I lived by the motto saying that the only good reason to run or to sweat is if some fierce sweat, and that would be sex. So those were the only good reasons. If you were in danger, if you were dancing in the nightclub, or if you were enjoying some wonderful intimate time with a lover. JJ UK, thank you for the feedback that it's still buffering. I'm really not sure what 20s because Erin was about 3, I think. Yeah, my late 20s. I decided randomly one day to go for a run. Very bizarre because I used to literally tease people who went running. I was like, why would you run? Are you in danger? And I decided to go for a run. I took the dog with me because living in a run on your own. And kind of thin-based, expensive shop in called Mr. Price. Those of you who know South Africa know Mr. Price. I suppose it's similar to Primark. And I decided to use those for a while. They wore out very quickly, and then I decided to go out shoes. So I bounced between my really inexpensive, not fancy shoes at all, and no shoes at all, and just discovered that I loved running. So good running shoes. I loved running that much. So that's how I got into running. It was kind of accidental. My body decided for me to take me for a run, and it ended up that I loved it. So this became my thing, running. In that time, I also sort of remembered how much I loved to dance, and I used to dance in my living room with headphones on if the weather became my thing. I never really stopped to think about how I was using the time to disconnect from stress, disconnect from too much thinking, and I absolutely loved that. It was around this time that I wrote my first body program called Love Me Beautiful, which has since become the title of my book. And that program still realizing that I was having pieces together. Sometime afterwards, I went on, at that same retreat, we did a walking meditation, which was a first for me. I was thinking, what the heck is a walking meditation? Like, what does that mean? Walking is walking, meditating is meditating. That was what I thought. Um, until we started doing the walking meditation, the monks and I think they called themselves nuns, the lady monks. But I can't remember. I don't know if I'm kind of throwing a Western word onto the role, but I think they did call themselves nuns. So they explained the walking meditation to us was to keep the pace, which was something that I did a lot anyway in my running. I would get into this really definite pace and just keep going. And as they explained this walking meditation and we started doing it, it was a very similar experience. It was about keeping the pace, swinging the arms, and keeping the pace very consistent all the way through and just quietening the mind. And I found while we were in nature, and I found myself emotions just kind of welling up and then releasing. So I was actually quite tearful at the same time. The nuns did explain to us that it had a lot to do with connection with earth, grounding yourself. There is so much to grounding. I've just learned recently about the fact that there are companies that are harnessing the energies and the vibrations. I've shifted my mindset about movement, any kind of physical movement, completely and forever. Thanks for mindful movement thinking and realizing I would go into that space when I was running was that I was able to quiet my mind and really, really come into my body. And so, as I say, I started really getting into this mindful movement and started focusing on everything that I did physically and keeping it as mindful as possible. So then it was sometime during those years that I discovered yoga as well. And yoga, if you guys know me that are on here right now, and anyone watching this afterwards, yoga is life changing. Brilliant teacher in Johannesburg, and that's where I learned all the basics. And then I couldn't stay away. I went to one class, and then I went to second class, and then I was going twice a week, and then 3 times a week. And before very long, I found myself going to any class that I could find that I had learned, and stay mindful in my body that I could practice at home. And so I started doing that. Years later, another friend of mine introduced me to some online YouTube teachers, my favorite being Adrienne Mishler. If you haven't heard of her, get back into it after a break or just keep up their practice. She does deep connection with myself every time I partook in one of my favorite movement practices. So I'm sure I didn't coin it. There must be other people who've used it. It's like when I thought I discovered self-love, but apparently I didn't. Mindful that you enjoy. It might be Pilates, it might be cycling, the movement practices, where if you engage in it, connect with your body and hear from yourself. In lotus pose, holding a mudra and in dead silence, it can be moving. Connecting with your body really, really supports the process of connecting with your inner self and your intuition and making better decisions and better choices for yourself. In other words, living mindfully. Do share them with me. I'd love to hear about them. Just in this week, I've heard from people practices of movement that can be turned into a mindfulness meditation practice. So go out there, give it a try, and do let me know what you experience. I'd love to hear from you. Seem to have fixed the camera problem completely, and now we do seem to have a bit of a connection issue. So I'll be being here, and remember, mindful movement is a way to love yourself. Ciao for now. Mwah. Oh gosh, this is going to try reconnect me instead of ending.